the east side of Broad Street.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Charlotte Cruz Brown. I'm community outreach specialist for State Representative Curtis Thomas, also the facilitator of Easter Broad Communities That Care Network.
Good afternoon. My name is Francine Elizabeth Natal. I am a legislative assistant for State Representative W. Curtis Thomas. I specialize in communication support.
Good afternoon. My name is Kiva Kearney, and I'm a proud member of the CTC under Curtis Thomas.
Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Canese Lopez, Library Manager, Free Library of Philadelphia, 600 West Girard Avenue, and also Community Cares Network, East of Broad Street member.
Hi, I'm Tai Coles, and I am motivational speaker of Point of Light Motivations.
Hi, I'm Jack Porchar. I'm with the Life Leadership Organization, and we produce materials in leadership and personal development, and I'm also a member of the CTC Community Organization.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Mark Beckham. I'm an entertainment manager, spoken word artist, and the former vice president of Alpha Boy Music Record Label.
Thank you for tuning in today. Today we have a special topic around social issues. So just be patient with us, and as we start, we're going to start with Ms. Salima Lovelace with some of our topics. I just have a question for you. On some of the social issues that we talk about on a daily basis that most of our teens or just families period they may deal with, what do you think about education?
As far as education, I feel like a lot of the public schools can do a little bit more better. I know since the budget cut, there were a lot of things taken out of the public schools as far as a lot of different programs. And I just think that if we bring some of these things back into the school, our school system could be a little bit better.
Okay, that's a great point. Anyone want to comment to that, to her concerns?
Yes, I was in a meeting, well actually it was an all-day training yesterday where our new mayor, Kenny, actually made an appearance, and he was talking about trying to bring money back into the schools, rec centers, and libraries. And he was discussing the soda tax or the sugar tax, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how it's a tax, not at the consumer level, but the manufacturer's level. So that will help fund, as I said before, the schools, the libraries, and the rec centers, which desperately need increased funding because of all the hits they've taken over when we've had economic issues. And it was to the point where the schools laid off like 75% of their support staff. So he's trying to rebuild the education and places where the teens and the children can go for entertainment and just to occupy themselves.
Okay, I noticed during the conversation, the both of you mentioned the budget. What are some of the things that our children lack because of this shortage of budget that we have received for the schools?
Okay, there's no longer secretaries in the schools,
Nurses, limited nurses.
libraries or librarian,
Counselors.
Support
Yes.
nurses.
Yes,
support
security
members.
personnel, schools.
Security is definitely.
Well, some of them, they're security, but not much else.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what do you guys think about teachers who are teaching and they may be a science teacher teaching world geography or,
That's-
Well, I think that's definitely an area of where our students are really lacking at. We really need to try to not only get the resources, but to make sure that the materials that they're studying is majoring in what they need to put them on a college degree level.
Oh,
They are seriously lacking. They are going into colleges, and most of them, this is over swamped because they are not educationally prepared to handle college material.
Absolutely.
That, and that's just the ones who can get into college. because
Absolutely.
As a librarian, I am seeing a lot of students who are graduating who are underly educated.
That is right.
Absolutely.
Well, it's-
Coming
Well,
from
next-
a, well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Francine.
I noticed there was the statement under educated.
Yes.
And I like to use a different word choice. I believe that we are not supporting them enough.
Right.
And in regards to education, the more prepared the child is from one school year in preparation to move up for the next school year to the next grade, the more enrichment that they receive. There's that span of time when they're out of school. We need to have more enrichment programs
Absolutely.
that are taking place in the inner city, in these communities where we know the children really need more support. And if we can supplement, because a lot of them are in homes that may not be as enriched an environment for them,
Absolutely.
to really prepare them for that next year. We can supplement and have these programs and activities within like your libraries, your local libraries, community centers. That's a plus because we don't want them to lose, if they don't use what they learn throughout the school year during those months when they're out of school, if they're not constantly in practice of those
Right.
skills, they're going to lose it. And so there has to be something in place. We need these programs to continue throughout the summertime. We've got to fund these programs. People, those of you who can, we're just saying care for this issue to be resolved and use your money to support the youth.
Thank you very much. Very,
Well-
very powerful.
Well, one of
your
the
comments?
things, back about the libraries in summer, one of the things that we do is every year, all of the, 52, 54 branches of the Free Library and our central location, we have our summer reading program where for doing activities and reading and taking out books from the library, you can win prizes. And we have raffles during that period of time. And it starts, I'm blocking on the dates, but it starts in June and ends in the beginning of August.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So maybe at the end of the show, you can give some of our viewers more details. During this conversation, I'm just curious to know, from a young perspective, what do you think with the budget and some of the things that could probably be improved if we had more money in the school system?
Well, thank you.
No, I mean, I'll definitely say, I mean, just understand it from a child's point of view. When you grow up in the high school that you see visually losing money, you pay attention to the things that you just naturally enjoy, your personal interests, such as maybe music class. I mean, some people don't even understand that one of the first things I remember seeing in our high school and pretty much our middle school was the music class. Simple things is just the instruments. Once you can't have the instruments, now you're talking about music and music notes. But then when you lose that entire music class or music teacher, it shows that, okay, now your personal interest only reduces down to gym. And then when you go back to the point of understanding that the classes may not have as much money as they may need, you go back to your average academic classroom and you're sharing a book with a classmate. So you gotta understand the small things of 6 periods of sharing the books or talking to classmates or a teacher that, like you said, may not be actually equipped with how to teach the class. Then you're just going to gym. So I'm saying, I tell people, like, you're understanding the mentality of a child is, this is not as important because they're not showing me I'm important. So the mentality once you leave school is like, it's no general focus. And just like you said before, when you go to college, you're completely unprepared. Because you're bombarded with work. At one point in time that you looked at, it was like, I was learning some of these things. I know what some of these numbers may look like, but I have no idea, don't even know where to turn to. Because if I'm at a college and I got accepted to outside of my living condition, which some of us do, if I'm in Philadelphia, I may want to go to Penn State. I can't come back home for that teacher that might have helped me out on a class. So I'm stuck at Penn State trying to figure it out on my own as a freshman.
Absolutely.
And it's a lost world that we have no idea about.
I just wanted to kind of point something out. You said about music. I believe it's been proven that it's a healing
Yes.
And it also helps our youth or people, period, find themselves, and it helps them grow. So it's a part of art, and it's a part of growth. And from what I'm understanding, music can also play a huge part in the education and academic
Yes.
part. So when they take those curriculums like that out of the school, we kind of lose the. Let's just be honest. They have an attention span,
Yes.
and it can just become very short. But I believe with those kind of art curriculums there, maybe it can improve some of the way we learn, the way our children learn. And you?
I know that he spoke about the students not being prepared, for college, things like that. One of the things that kind of comes to mind is like how they curve the grades. How they curve the grades in order to keep the schools afloat,
The
numbers looking
keep
good.
the numbers looking good.
Right.
Because I when I started, let me see, my son was in the elementary school, and when I started sort of getting a little hip to what the schools were doing, I started asking questions, and a teacher up front told me, because I knew where my child was. I said, this grade that he got, he was away for the summer. And we kind of struggled through the summer while I was trying to, get him acclimated again. And I know that he is not this particular grade. Just to be fair, we want to talk like real talk.
Being honest.
And he says, well, in honesty, he says, and he told me this. It was in the papers and everything
You'd be
about
surprised.
how the grades were curved. And I think that's a shame because someone said earlier about like education being the birthright, and it is a birthright. Intelligence and being able to function through the world along with your counterparts and have that done equally, among us all, and for those in certain demographics to not be cast out because they don't know, but for you to lie to them and tell them that you are this, and then when you get pushed out and you're going, and they're proud about it. I'm an A in math, or I'm a B student in reading, and you're really not that. Now when it's time to be in the real world,
Absolutely.
you don't
Right.
know,
Get thrown out.
And it
and
goes
you're
back
thrown
to
out.
what Ms.
Yeah,
Kiva
and
said
you actually
earlier.
drown.
You're not prepared.
Yeah.
At a college level, and what happens is they forget, or purposely they get lost.
They get
to the fact,
disenchanted
because it's a money. It's a money thing, or maybe a stats. We have to, even if that's what's going on. My major concern with that is our community.
Yes.
When we know these things are happening and we do nothing
that's
about
right.
it,
That's
or
right.
we have people out there who are advocating for us, but on small levels, but they need our voice and our help.
Yes.
So I hope that through these conversations that we have here on every other Wednesday, and to our viewers, that they will be able to chime in and give us their comments and suggestions and recommendations as to how we can help this education for our children, their birthright. And
But a big part of that has got to go back to the family.
The
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Because they're going home,
Yeah,
and there's not a lot of after-school programs. I
Right.
grew up in a music program in high school. I was never home, but I wasn't on the street.
Yeah.
But when I came home, was single parent. I mean, my mother still said, "Homework, how do you?" And I understand I'm learning about the community, coming from the outside, so to speak. But that's a big struggle, and it's not an easy fix. But hopefully, through a program like this,
Yes.
you start getting
We
the kids
can.
excited.
Right.
Maybe we can back into the parents and the program, like, "What are you guys doing? They're making this,"
And
and
become
kind of a
family.
Right.
backward approach
Yeah.
to fixing it to go forward.
Yeah, you're building
And
a
what I was
family as a
going to
whole.
mention was the fact that they spend half of their time with the teachers.
I was
the
gonna
school.
say that, yeah.
And they come home after we work 2 or 3 jobs, and we don't give them the attention, the proper attention that they need. So then you go to school and you're not getting the attention that you need. How many of those children are suffering from lack of attention, just because as
Lots
so
of
small,
suffering.
as
As by a
from
number,
that.
lots of suffering. That's where the pipeline to the juvenile delinquent system and prisons are coming into place. But just as this brother has spoke, from a youngest point of view, young leadership that you are, I think that we need to key it and see how we can get these resources really together and see how we can get the voices of the youth.
Yes.
Because we
Right.
have to bring it to a level where they understand
Right.
what interests them. Yes, libraries, that is very good, but we need to get to a point where we are finding resources to go along with things that can interest them,
Right.
to elevate them,
Yes.
educate them from various aspects. So,
And I think that to add on that, just like you said, just like I always tell people, my favorite word is relatively. When you can relate to somebody a little
Right.
bit, and I mean, to me, that's my first thing. And when I'm listening to somebody, I literally stop my entire mental life to the point and look through their eyes.
Right.
Okay, like you just said, if you don't have no stability at home, and then you go into school, you don't have no real stability, and it's
Right.
like, you got to understand that that student is indirectly asking for attention. I mean, they're still a young person.
Yes.
But I tell people, you got to understand when they get to high school, you know that it's puberty hits. I mean, little bit of maturity that they have hits. So you got to understand that if you're going through grade school in your mind, thinking you're making little minor decisions on your own, you get that little bit of puberty, you still feel as though nobody really cares. Then you get the high school dropouts because you got them in their mind think I'm a young adult, I'm gonna just make a decision.
Right.
And I tell people, if you don't understand that mentality, you don't even know where it comes from. How can you help resolve the issue? You're not even trying to understand the person that's the victim of it.
Right.
So-
we
Absolutely.
we really have to create this resource for them,
Yeah.
a concrete resource that we can get help for them.
Okay, we're gonna take one or two more comments on the education, and we're gonna move on and address some of our other social issues. Ms. Todd?
Yeah, just the topic of even there was a statement that you said when you said you're on the outside, sort of like the teachers who don't look like us. The teachers don't look like our children, and you know, maybe even they have a heart to do it, because I think that a teacher who goes to college and learns these, you know, is the major of, you know, education. You desire to help. You know, you desire to teach. It's your passion. But you have to make the connection to the education, to the community, and know. I think it would be important for them to, maybe if they have meetings or something, but they can sit around and talk about what is in those areas. You know, as a teacher, what is going on in the community, certain weeks or certain months, where I can point and tell my students and tell the parents during teachers' meetings, parent-teacher meetings, this is what's going on. And basically letting them know that I'm an active participant, not just an outsider to get a check, you know, and then I'm going up the suburbs, and but I'm here for you. And then that engages everyone, because if the parents feel good, if the teachers feel good, the parents feel good. If the parents feel good, then the students
They have to
feel good. They'll see that support going on. They'll feel the energy of it, and everyone will be lifted. So yeah,
And that's real.
I think
That's a real feeling.
Okay,
I like
what do you
that.
think, Selena? Like,
I mean, I agree with some of the comments that I'm hearing, but just to piggyback off far as the No Left Behind. Now, my son, who's 7, well, actually, I'm sorry, I said 17. He's 19. He's in college, and he struggled through school with an IEP, and like you said, how, you know, like for your son was coming home with grades that you felt as though, and I felt as though that, you know, knowing that, you know, I know my child, and, you know, not saying that he couldn't do the work, but I just was kind of like questioning in my head, like, you know, I know, I sit with him, I read with him, I know where he is with his reading level, and I don't want to say the name of the school that he was going to at the time, but it was a charter school. And I had to come in, and I sat down and I had a meeting with the principal. And when she said that, one of the things that she said to me that I had an issue with was, you know, with homework, because he was never coming home with homework. And she said, well, homework is just a reinforcement of what we did, you know, during out the, you know, the course of the week or the day. And I said, well, also I think, you know, they still need that at home. Somebody like, you know, for my son, you know, who's suffering in math and reading, you know, I felt as though that he still needed that, that attention, you know, as far as, you know, someone helping him. And then they had no tutors, you know, in the school, no after school programs and things like that. So, you know, long story short, you know, he went off to college, and his first year he did struggle. He really did struggle a lot. His first semester in school, and he had to bring his GPA up. He was on, you know, academic probation and everything. And now he's at a point where, you know, he's getting it. But I feel like if I didn't have him there, you know, and had him somewhere else, he would have done, a lot better. And, I think that maybe he should have been, left behind, because if he was where he was, in that same grade, maybe if he would have repeated the grade over again, he would have got the proper help that he needed to go on to the next grade, because he's really a year or 2 years behind, most of them that have an IEP.
Wow.
Or
Yeah.
if the grades would have been a better reflection,
Yes,
everything could have been addressed earlier.
yes,
Right.
Very true.
yes. Mhm.
Thank you so much for all your comments on education. There you have it, as you heard it. I'm pretty sure the viewers who are watching have some comments and concerns as well. Just get more involved. To make comments, please go to Easter Broad Community Daycare Facebook page, or you can email us at easterbroadnetwork@mail.com. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next topic. We want to kind of talk about the economics in our community. Every time I hear the word economics in the urban community, I think about liquid money. I don't know, have you guys ever heard that before? Yeah, they say that, our people have liquid money, and because we're so quick to spend as soon as we get it. And it's not about the spending part, it's about investments and spending it in the right places. What do you guys think about that, and what are some of the ways that we could do to try to help our community save or invest or make good decisions for the future?
In response to that statement, Charlotte, first, let me commend you on even bringing us to this topic. I think it's so very relevant for the inner city communities in general. And I say this because inner city is where you find a lot of urban blight.
Yeah.
This is where we learn that there is a class of the have-nots, and the struggle is real. You really see that up close and personal in the inner city. So what we have to do, because apparently we know if the parents aren't doing it, then it becomes the responsibility of the community. And it takes a village to raise a child. It's not just the parents, it's all of us working with the parents or working with that family to make sure that that child is supported and that they can fare in life well. And we need financial literacy as a part of the curriculum. It needs to begin at the early level,
Yes.
lower level education.
Very important.
It's very important. It should not be that a child in the inner city only learns about macroeconomics, microeconomics, and business when they are in higher education.
It should start.
It should start early so that they can grasp that understanding and awareness that yes, you need to be financially, you need to be established, and there are certain key things you must know to do to become financially established in this society, in America, a capitalistic America. And yes, work, we understand that, and that's all well and good to have the child to be in an environment where they're seeing adults modeling that yes, every day you go to work and then you get paid, there's a certain payday, you work, but you earn your income.
Right.
That's necessary. But they also need to know about investing. I remember when I was younger, I remember in elementary school, one of the field trips was we went to the bank.
Wow.
And I think I might have been in kindergarten or first grade. Back then, they saw that it was relevant to teach the youth in the community financial literacy. They didn't wait until we were in middle school or high school grades to do that. And we also were able to start an account. Our parents received a letter. It went home. Your child is going to the bank today. They'll be able to start an account. This is the amount of money that they'll need. Do you approve of this? I mean, so it started early in my life, and I can truly say it impacted me. And I think when it starts early, the impact is long and lasting, and it will make a difference in the person's life.
Oh, thank you for
Just
that.
had to share that.
Yeah, I agree.
You had a
You
question?
can go ahead.
Well, in our organization, one of our areas, we talked about financial fitness program that we've put together, or we, the founders of the group. And what you're saying is true. And they talk about creating wealth, not in huge sums, in any amount. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. So you're talking about liquid money. We've got to learn where we're spending it and what we're spending it on. I think the phrase was coined by Einstein, that the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. There's an organization called NOMO. I think some of you may have heard about it.
Yes.
Over on 16th and Poplar. And they're trying to put together a financial program to take into the grade schools to teach kids about the fundamentals of finance. Credit cards. And one of the things we talk about in one of our books is everybody's worried about the credit rating. What's a term derived by the banks to see how good you are so we can lend you more money, and you'll never get out of what Warren Woodward calls it the matrix. You'll never get out of debt.
Wow.
If you finance things, you're going to end up paying 2 and 3 times the amount, and you'll never get ahead. With what I'm trying to do with some of the other organizations at PROAC and reaching out is like, how can we teach, once they start to get jobs, all right, now that you're making an extra $100 a week, don't go spend an extra $100 a week.
Yeah.
And if you keep that up, the banks are going to give you a credit card. That 100 is going to turn into spending 300, and now you're back in what we call the matrix, and it's a downward spiral. So yeah, but no.
I like the term matrix. That is so true. And I always refer to it as like a wheel, a spinning wheel. You know how people say, "Oh, I'm making all this money," or "I got a lot of money to pay the bills, and the more money I make, the more bills or more problems I accumulate."
Yes.
Or I'm just making money to survive. I'm just
Right.
making money, to live. And I'm pretty sure a lot of us can, relate to that. But I also want to say, one of the things that I do notice that we don't really spend money on quality things. I'll give you an example. If I purchase a very, very good television that may last me for 30 years, as opposed to me buying a TV where I have to purchase that TV 10 times out of the entire year. I have spent more money on 10 TVs than I would have that one good quality TV that could have lasted me for a good 20 to 30 years. So I think that's a part of decision making.
One of the rules of success is delayed gratification.
Right.
Don't go out and buy the junk item.
Right.
Wait. Do without for a while.
Right.
And get the good one that's going to last a long time.
So I guess that will fall under what discipline.
And what we're finding in
Discipline.
some of our
That's
things
right.
is
Education.
that people are now, because
And
financing is so available, now we'll finance the good one. We're not making any money, because we talk about the matrix, the offense, the defense, and the playing field. They're the rules of the games that are set by those that control the money.
Yes.
So we finance the good one. We don't learn how to create more income. We don't put anything aside. When the good one breaks, we're in worse shape than we were before because of the matrix.
Yeah.
We've got less money, and we can't even afford the cheap ones now.
Yeah, that's
So it's understanding the rules of the game.
iPhones.
I think another big part of it too is what I think it was someone here. I think it was what you said about. I guess it's like the lingo that we have when you said, I'm basically making my money to survive. Is the words that we choose around money. Like if you believe that you don't have, then you won't have.
Very true.
My whole thing is that I try to emphasize, even for myself at my beginning, because I just went to a credit repairing and understanding class workshop yesterday at the Enterprise Center on 46 at Market.
Yes.
The bandstand place.
Yes.
So, like I said, at my age, with all my money mistakes and what I don't know, I'm learning about the FICO scores and how credit cards affect and how you can, just little things like that. But the point of us, myself and those included in that workshop, we showed up because we didn't know, and we're trying to change the lingo around it. So I think that we should be speaking more of, and not to say it like this, I say this in a way because we're talking about our communities. When you look at the counterparts, my thing is implement what they're doing. Don't say, "Oh, I can't do." Go, something's working for them. What do we have to do to change up our ways? There's a pattern that we have
Understood.
here, right? So, like you said, discipline. Budget. Let those words be the I call again with me learning. I'm a late starter, but that entrepreneurial attitude. You know, I tell that to my children. I tell that to myself. I tell that to my gentlemen. You know, you say words budget. Of course, we have YouTube University.
Terminology.
You can look up, you know, NASDAQ, you know, the Dow Jones.
University. I
And
like
just-
that.
Yeah, it's a university. But the thing is to take back what you, if you want to travel, if you know you want good food,
Right.
Yeah.
and you know in your communities that the
Oh,
stuff
my
that they give us, if you
Oh,
are
my.
paying attention, if you're paying attention to the poppy stores and the Chinese
Absolutely.
stores, the
I
food
have to
is
speak
death.
on that.
And,
Yes.
and you know what? The cheaper it is, the unhealthier it
It
is.
And it's a trick.
Yeah.
It
So the thing is to realize your limitations and to fight against it and to study how to get out of it.
And you
Get
have
out of the
some,
box.
and speaking of
Wait.
counterparts, just and I'll let you go, Keith, because I don't want to lose this thought.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of counterparts, and I noticed that most of our other brothers and sisters,
Mm-hmm.
they may go with the cheapest pair of shoes,
Mm-hmm.
the cheapest
Yeah.
pair of jeans, and they are not as flashy
Mm-hmm.
as most of our people can be in our communities, and some of them have a lot of money. You never know; they be fully loaded,
Mm-hmm.
only
surprised.
simply because they're disciplined, they're saving, and you make this world of difference. Like, oh, they got, and we the have-nots and things like that. But that's not necessarily true because. Look at Bill Gates, for instance. What is the other guy? Oh, please forgive me if you ever watched this.
Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
Warren
over
Buffett,
no,
Steve
not Warren
Jobs,
Buffett.
Steve
The
Jobs.
one over Facebook. The one
Oh,
Zuckerberg.
It was
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg.
He always dressed down,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
or
He wears the
he's
same
not
shirt.
too flashy, and he has buckles of money.
Keanu Reeves
So
does the
I
same
think,
thing.
He
like
drives the train
leading by
still.
example.
He's
What
laying
I'm,
down
what
the
I'm trying to get to is leading by example.
Right.
Sometimes when you want to share things with people and give them knowledge and education, you can be solid with it. Just showing by leading
I
by
think,
example.
like you said, back to the point of teaching
Demonstration,
somebody
right.
terminology. I can remember like saying installing things very young, and I could definitely say one thing I was installed very young by one of my uncles that the light bulb didn't click till I was about 16, 17. It's just real simple. He just showed me the difference between an asset and a good, and it was like the idea of like if I can't control how you spend, you're gonna learn through your own experience. And it was like if you keep
That's
buying
real.
4 bags of chips, you'll know at the end of the day you're still gonna be hungry. But you could just stopped and just maybe just bought an apple. It's just like one thing, just very simple things like that. And I live with those traits now because like everything is on me at this point in time. I understand it's financially understandable. I can turn it into something. This is an asset. This is a watch. It can be resold at a pawn shop. Giving my clothes away possibly be a tax write-off if I do it in a philanthropy or a charitable type of event. So it lets you know at the end of the day you're never completely broke if you understand how to spend your money.
But that's the
Oh,
dynamics.
very, very, very,
The
very.
dynamics, what you said, is
Good point.
the education
Right.
and actually, growing up with this education, understanding, as you said, the difference between liquid money, finances, and assets. So that's real important. But I want to piggyback off and set the economics within the community. And something that you said, just change the way that we see things, change, the terminology. But it's really difficult for that in the urban communities because someone said, look at what your counterparts are doing and take note of that. But that's really hard to do it in urban communities when you're just often seeing the opposite making investments, and if you're not taught, like you said, you're not taught
That's
that.
true.
So in our communities, even myself, as you said, you see the stores around, there's Chinese stores, and what are we doing? All type of stores, hair stores, everything you can name, but we don't see our faces.
Right.
They don't see their faces.
Right.
And then you say liquid money, but in the community, that's where the large part of the money is
Yeah,
going
that's what I mean.
from top down and from the bottom up. So I think within our communities, we need to find some area where we are seeing our faces
Yeah.
to believe it, because if you're not brought up with it, but you get to an aspect of your life, you coming out of your situation, I'm going to make a difference in my family. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to, I'm going to do things differently. You don't get to that point until you make a decision. A lot of children are not afforded that decision because of their upbringing. So how can we change the urban communities where we are seeing our faces?
Put them in a position where, and like you said earlier when you was discussing education, it starts here.
It does.
You know, when we're teaching our children about the marbles I used to play with jacks. You know, jacks and I love numbers. I'm very, very good with numbers. Math to me plays a very, very big part in my life. You know, and to make them understand how numbers, what it means to you, counting, what it means to you. Because to me, coming from me, you always talk about the energy. Spiritually, numbers mean a lot of things. When you dancing, when you moving, when you talking, no matter what we do, if we can get them to understand the importance of number, or even being a number, what number are you in your classroom? Like, are you number 1? Are you number 2? Like, and how can I reach the higher level? Once I know where I am, how can I get to the higher level? Then we can teach them about finances, because a lot of them don't even have the proper math skills that they need to even understand how to use money. You know, except when it's time to buy a bag of chips. You know,
what can
and
we
that's
do?
just deep. So
what
can
we do?
to put them in that place?
We know where we are. I'm sorry. I'm
That's
sorry,
okay. Go ahead.
We know where we are at a dilemma with an education, with their schooling, resources. What can we do? Yes, it starts from ground zero, but are we going to leave out the whole sector of children that's up there now?
No.
We
No.
have to find some way to
There-
reach them now.
there's-
And we
What
need
can
to
we
It's
do?
gotta
we
be.
need to change the examples that they are seeing.
Right.
Because right
Like
now,
I said earlier.
all they're seeing is conspicuous spending
Mhm.
by the role models.
That's what that's why I
We-
said it's
And they
by
don't realize
demonstration.
that they're
You-
also, these role models also have their investments, and they have
Right, right.
somebody managing them.
Yes.
We've got, you gotta break that
That's what they
cycle.
need to
Right.
see.
And again, I go back to what I've been learning. I'm 30 years in construction. I feel like I'm 16 again. We were talking earlier with what we're doing. Because it all goes back to what would you like the picture, your vision for your future. But, and again, from what I'm seeing in the community, it's been generational kind of backwards, going down. So it's going to be hard to reverse right over, but we got to get a nucleus of people
Right.
within a community and say, okay, there is something better available for us. We can have a better life. But we've got to get away from you've got to give me something to have a better life. We've got to do it for ourselves, because it's only going to get so good. But we can set a vision. We wrap some ideas around what we do with leadership and say, hey, let's go teach some principles.
Right.
And if you work together as a community, I can show you some things that'll work together. And then one starts to raise, and then we'll slowly start getting out. We get to that middle segment, maybe the 18 to 26-year-olds, which are before they're too far gone or what. And then we'll reach out to those a little bit older, like myself, and then start rolling back into the households. It's not an easy fix, but it's got to be a vision.
But I
What do
think
you want?
But I
And
think
then finding
what
something.
is trying to say, like, where do we begin? Where do we
Right.
start? We have no real answers, but where could we start? You know?
I say the real answer is in your home.
In your home.
In your
I
home.
say
I
it
was about to say
is
that.
turning off your TV, making your children read a book. There's a book that I had my son read, and a lot of youngsters, even I read it a little, but there's a gentleman named Farrah Gray. If you're familiar, he became a millionaire when he was like, what, 21 or 14?
Can you repeat that again for our viewers?
Farrah Gray. I'm not sure how to spell his name, Farrah Gray. He became a millionaire, 14-year-old millionaire. But it starts with, you mentioned like self-sufficiency, right?
Yeah.
Self-sufficiency. Plant a garden.
Yeah.
It's a vision.
I mean,
That's
economics.
That's
I don't have enough money to go to the market to get fresh
agriculture.
fruit.
That's good.
Take your backyard, make a bed, a garden bed.
Very
Ask
simple.
someone who's in the community. Just ask. If you don't ask, you'll never get it. Closed
Absolutely.
mouths don't get
Very
fed.
true.
I'm doing this stuff. Like I said, I'm on the beginning level of all of this stuff. I just reached out to a sister who I see her in the community, and I just reached out to her on Facebook, and I said, I see you gardening. Can you help me? I have no idea. I'm clueless. She says, I love teaching people how to garden. She's going to come to my home and help me garden. I grabbed some seeds,
That's-
just
yeah.
threw them down in my, right, again, but I think this, again, with the word energy. If you put it out, it will
It'll come.
come. There's that movie,
The
the
secret.
that too,
Oh,
that
no.
too.
Oh, I
Wait,
didn't.
wait, what's that one? The the Field of Dreams, where
Oh, yeah.
where the
Oh,
guy
if you
feels
build
like
it,
if you
they
build
will
it, they
come.
will come.
Right.
Same thing. If you have a desire to change the environment in which you're in,
Right.
you have a lack of something. You just say, okay, kids, I'm trying, and this is where mommy and daddy is. Okay, we're going to start some new things. We're going to read some books. We're going to do YouTube University. We're going. If everyone sitting here, if everyone out there, YouTube University, something positive outside of their comfort zone, it can be a better.
So
can,
the
but-
fundamental starts of beginnings of financial literacy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
But I don't want to
Economics.
forget about those that do not have that fundamental upbringing and
Or
nurture,
their drive.
or a parent such as yourself, or such as me.
Mhm.
You know, I am really here to advocate for those who do not have it.
Mhm.
So
Then
I don't
we've got to
want to
build
leave
enough
them
positive
out.
energy around them
I'm
that they get
looking
sucked
for
in.
things-
Right.
Absolutely, I'm looking for different resources for those that do not have the upbringing of what they need. You know, it's things that can supplement them because they have dreams, they have goals. They can be the next millionaire, they can be the next politician, next lawyer. You know, I am looking and directing to those that do not have. To
Well, you
save
give them
them.
the word. You give them the
Okay.
word. This is my opinion. You
Okay.
give them the word,
Mhm.
and I think people will find it as whenever they're I don't want to say tired of being tired, but
Yeah.
I don't
Sick
wanna
and
say
tired of
that.
being sick and tired.
But yeah, it's like
You
you
do.
can't
do
save
have to do
everyone.
for yourself, like,
And I
support
just
that.
Or when
think,
they're
and
ready
just-
for
When they're ready for
Giving them
change.
And just to
that
say
it
for the
can
record,
happen.
I think with this positive energy that we have here
Yes.
and the things that we are doing
Mhm.
and putting out to people, this is the start of it. Because, you know, a lot of times you have to have dialogue before you do.
Absolutely.
You know, and you can't have too much dialogue and not enough doing. So
Absolutely.
Very
we
true.
have
Absolutely.
to we have to start implementing these things. So I'm glad you brought up the gardening because that's a part of the team thing. One of the team initiatives to start up our own community garden and also build some revenue from that
Absolutely.
Maybe I can
garden.
assist
So
with that.
that's a part of the first community project for the teens, which we will be tuning in a couple of weeks from here to share with you as we go out into the community. We're going to take the camera out into the community and find out what they are doing to make it work for their garden. And at the same time, it's like we're making everything work. We're bringing in the economics and we also bringing a healthy diet to your front door. So
That's
I'm
more
glad-
economic than
Right,
anything
Right,
else.
right.
Yeah, it's a
And
mental
what
diet
I-
as well as
and
a
I
physical
believe
diet.
once you start there, but just for closing remarks on this, and we're going to move to the next topic. I believe some of our guests will have to leave in a moment, but I want to just move forward. I always talk about the story of the homeless guy who was living in Atlanta, Georgia, sleeping in front of the dome, and one day he had a vision to make some little characters, or what would you say, paraphernalia for each team out of popsicle sticks
There you
or
go.
toothpicks. And he charged $1 for each one, and whatever your team was, he created that team on that toothpick or popsicle stick, and he created $1 million of revenue.
And for
from
Rob
that. It
Gray
became
did the
a
same
movement.
thing.
Right.
At 14, knocking on doors. And don't get me. Don't quote me on it. But I think he was drawing on rocks and knocking. I tell my son, we sold waters at one time. Just grabbed some waters, went on the corner, and I said, "You need sneakers for school? All right, where are you going to earn it?" And we stood on the corner. We sold our waters. Now I'm not saying go do that because I don't know the whole licensing thing with that. I don't know. But if there's a will, there's a way. Farrah Gray took rocks, painted on the rocks, went door to door. People love kids. Take your kids. You know.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we need. That's
So
what we need.
I hope we answered some of the questions, and I really thankful for all of your comments. So for more information on how to build stronger economics, you can also email us at Eastern Broad Community Daycare Network at mail.com, or you can visit our Facebook page, Eastern Broad Community Daycare, and we'll make sure we'll provide some of the businesses or organizations that you could probably go to help you get you started. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move along to our community trust. That's one of the, I believe, one of the most sensitive topics trusting people, trusting those leadership roles that are around you. I just want to hear a little bit more about how do you feel, or what is your perspective as far as like community trust, or what does it mean to you?
Okay. I just had the opportunity that I'm studying in Harcum, and one of my courses is on policing and community trust and building legitimate relationships, because we know right now that, we're in turmoil, as far as, a lot of interactions with civilians and police, and, it just opened up broadened my horizon on the dynamics of, policing, because it's not all negative, even though we're seeing negative right now, it's not all negative, and there are a lot of officers and leaders and captains who are really trying to fight the fight on the injustice, especially within urban communities and minorities to that nature. So, and I took a good interest, and I think that I'm going to forward that, and I think that I want to kind of be an ambassador on especially the executive order that Obama had put out in 2014 on changing the concept of the way policing is from the top to the bottom. So, and also I want to talk about just building community trust and leadership. For example, when we do go to vote, when we do get our teams or those who can vote to go out to vote, and when we get them elected, and building that trust where they're actually doing what they said they would do before being elected. And I think it's important that we teach the community is not just about voting, but it's also about teaching them who to contact, why should they contact them, who are they state representatives, who are they legislators, who are they senators, because even though they get elected, they still need us to support them so that they can make a difference in our community. School resources all across the board, finances, economical businesses in the urban communities, and to that nature. So I think we really need to focus on that, and I didn't understand the importance till I started being educated on it. But that it's a highlight that we should focus on, just as impactful as economics and education.
And you mentioning all of those things made me think of how much things have failed. We are said to be failed, or we are said that we are failed as a community by our community leaders. And I don't know. I have some good things about that, and I have some bad things that I feel about that. We seem to think that every person that we run into may be like the other person who was in office, or a police officer, or a teacher, or anything like that. Because in a sense, we have been failed. We have, and people, it's hard to rebuild those relationships back up. And when someone comes and say, oh, well, I'm about to do this, I'm about to do that, you don't see an agenda, you like, but we shouldn't feel like that. Like, what are some of the ways we can, build those relationships with community trust?
I would like to say something. A lot of times, when you were saying about, meeting your politicians and, a lot of them, they don't come around until it's time for election time.
That's true.
So, the community, sometimes they feel like, you failed me before, so how is it that I can, trust to think that if I put you in this position that, you're going to do the things that need to be done, in the community. And as far as, with policing and, policing in the community, like you said, there are police officers out there that are, doing an excellent job, and they're all, they're not, out here trying to hurt. But I just think that, now with this community policing thing, with the community and the police, they're trying to pull them together. I think that is a good, start. And far as like with some of the younger kids going into the schools makes another difference. If we get them more involved and having maybe a legislator go out to the schools and talk to some of the children and introduce themselves and let them know who they are and let them know that they advocate the lawmaking, the budgeting, the laws and all of that for us and explain to them exactly what it means. I think some of these young adults that are not registered to vote have a different look on voting, because I'll talk to some teens and they'll say, oh, I'm not voting, or even younger, like the parents, they say the same thing. Oh, I'm not voting, I'm not doing this, or I'm not going to know. If your district is having an event or something, you invite them out. I'm not going to the police district. I don't like cops. Why is it that you don't like cops? That's some of the things that you'll hear young people say if you actually sit down and talk to them.
Changing that whole.
And they don't realize that their voice actually matters. They're of this mindset, which goes back to financial literacy and every other literacy. They don't have the knowledge to realize that they have more power than they think they do.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
have
Nobody's
the
really
knowledge.
kind of like telling them that they do.
Basically, like
Yeah.
I'm saying, it's about basically educating the community. I plan, to go to different faith bases wherever seminars anybody would have me, to actually teach the community on the different steps and approaches that they can take to be involved in a lot of areas and aspects in their community. They really don't know, and to be honest, I didn't even know until I started going to school. So now I'm just want to be a ambassador, also as an advocate, to teach my community about their rights, their voices.
Thank you so much. We're gonna close out. That's our Teen Talk and Talent session for today. We have these discussion forums every other Wednesday to tune in, and we love to have you. As again, I said before, you can visit our page on Facebook, East Abroad Communities Daycare, and also email us with your questions and concerns, or maybe just some suggestions at East Abroad Communities Daycare @mail.com. Okay, this is the part where we do a talent from a teen or a young person, and I would like to ask Mr. Mark Becker to close us out with a spoken word. Thank you.
Just call my fellow brother. Quick couple lines. See, the ones he listened to, attitude say forget school, and watch YouTube with you and say, damn dude, that could have been you. And you be like, damn bro, that's what I was supposed to do. Having my wealth and health spitting in the vocal booth, instead I'm on the couch with YouTube bros. We having a smoke or two. See, the one that love the hood, down to die from where they came from. Then turn around and say their brothers died from where they came from. So what dudes are them dudes, and which dude are you, dude? Because the ones who had the choice was the ones who pulled the trigger. It's a young dude like you. You love your hood, but you don't respect it. Me, I'm a young dude from the projects. Debated, and at the end of the day, everybody know I'm highly effective. So I influence the youth, and I pay attention to the groups. And all you do is turn your back, but they still looking up to you. Rest in peace to all of those that fell, and rise to all of those that are rising. Stay together, my young brothers, and stay riding, my young queens. Thank you.
So, as you can see, we have amazing talent every other Wednesday. So if this is something you think you want to be a part of, please let us know. You know where to find us. Thank you, and we'll see you again next week.
That wasn't what I was trying to say.
It should be.
Trust me.
Okay.